Hi, this is Katrina from Notes on Vellum, and I'm here to discuss a little bit more about NaNoWriMo and about how my process has been working when I've been working on my story for these last couple of weeks. And I also have a special guest who is also participating in NaNoWriMo, and she's going to tell us a little bit about how she's doing her work. Now, what I thought I'd show you are my notebooks here that sort of align with the suggestions that I made in the last blog post about how to keep your book going and moving, and how to keep from stalling as you're writing. This is the main notebook for my current WIP, and all of my first draft material is in here. Now, the first few pages are outline. I have my outline here, sort of discussing where I want to go, and it's not the whole story. In fact, I haven't even finished this section yet. I'm thinking it's maybe the first quarter of the story. So I'm working on this outline. I've gotten up to about here. I've got a little bit more here, and then I'm going to have to step back and make a new outline for the next sections because I haven't really quite figured out what's going to happen there yet. But one of the things that I was talking about in the blog post is making notes as I go, and if I run into a spot where something doesn't make sense, or where I have forgotten something I wanted to add, or think of something, I'll make a little note in the margin. And I have quite a few of those as we go through. Some of this is stuff I need to look up, and some of it is just ideas that I had as I was writing that I forgot to include, or that occurred to me later. So that helps me keep from backing up and stopping to research things or look up notes or redo things. Now, I did have a couple of places where I realized that I had planned to put some scenes into the story and I forgot to write them. For that, I had another notebook. This notebook is my book 2, so when I finish with that notebook, I'm going to start writing in this notebook, but it's also extra scenes. So the scenes that I forgot to write in the first notebook, I went ahead and wrote in this notebook, and then when I dictated them out, I put them at the right spot in Scrivener. And yes, I have my little collection of Get Glue stickers on here because Get Glue is cool. This is my research and background notebook. So when I come up with things that I want to reference later in the story, I'll write them down in here. And this is like my story Bible. Now, one of the things about this book, as far as research, is that I already had done a ton of the research for this book before I started writing it for NaNoWriMo, and I think that's another really important thing to have ready when you embark into your first draft, is to have done your research, have your notes there, and that way you don't have as many places where you're going to have to make margin notes and say, okay, I'm going to look that up later. So that was very helpful. And one of the reasons that I had the research done already was that I had another story idea that was using similar research, and actually I have about 3 stories that I've already written, that one of which has been published and one of which is coming out next month, that use the same body of research. So that helped a lot too. I also do a thing where I have pictures to represent my characters, and those are in my notebook so that I can look at them and see. See? Very attractive men, and this guy's just asking to be turned into a vampire. I mean, seriously. So anyway, that's my progress, and I am at about 17,000 words, a little bit behind, but I'm cranking it out and having a lot of fun writing this story, which is the most important part. Now, the next section, we're going to be talking to my daughter, who kind of strong-armed me into doing NaNoWriMo this month, and so I wanted to share a little bit about her progress and what she's doing. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to turn the video over to my daughter. When you started working on your story, did you have an outline, or did you just start writing just sort of with no particular plan?
I printed out my handy-dandy workbook, which is only on the Young Writers site. It has like parts that you can you outline your story, and then you work on setting, you work on all that kind of stuff. In the handbook, it has character sheets, and you can fill it out for every one of your characters, which is what I did, except for I didn't fill out for all of them because I added more characters as I went by on my story. But yeah, it's very handy.
But we talked about rewards for when we got to certain word counts. Have you found that to be a good motivator?
What, getting ice cream?
Yeah, getting ice cream, or getting whatever.
Yeah, that was a good
a Corey Crawford t-shirt or whatever it is that we decided that we would do for prizes.
Yeah, it's good, and also
you're supposed to clean my bathroom, but
I've been writing, Mom.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you think that the reward system is a good motivator also?
I do indeed, and plus we got buttons.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
You're welcome.
It was nice to have you in our fancy studio. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, you're quite welcome.
I feel special.
I did have you in the hospital. Anyway,
keep writing and buy merchandise for NaNoWriMo.